sorry. Okay. Good. Lovely. Good to see you. Hello. Yeah, very good. Very, very successful. From a formal negotiation perspective, but also from the
invited guests and parents were in attendance this morning.
And a very good morning to you all, to our graduates. So, ladies and gentlemen, program. Honorable Minister.
His Grace the Archbishop of Suva, my father, the Vice Principal and Principal of Corpus Christi College, the lecturers, invited guests, parents, friends, family wishes, and of course the graduates. Bulavinaka, and a very good morning to all of you. Good afternoon, I should say. Thank you very much for the invitation to come here, be here this afternoon with you. I have been for the past couple of days since arriving from Germany, been to a number of schools where I've attended graduation ceremonies for primary school students. I was in Nukuloa in Ba on Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon I was at Tilak High School. This morning I was at the CMF primary school, and this afternoon I'm here with you, and then this evening I'm going to Nakai Congo in Lokia in Koronivia, and tomorrow I'm in Kulukulu Primary School and Donua in Kamanangasau, eastern bank of the Singatoga River. The reason why I'm highlighting all these schools to you is, of course, it's of relevance to our graduates, because of course you'll be teaching in schools. And education, of course, is key to ensuring that we have a country that is very much focused on improving the livelihoods, the sustainable livelihoods of all our people. Education, of course, is not just simply a means to get a job, but it's also a means to be able to expand our minds, to be able to think laterally, to be able to be well informed. There was a saying in the Middle East a number of hundreds of years ago, over 1,000 years ago. In those days, going to China was a big deal. So they used to say, seek knowledge even if you have to go to China. It's such a remote place for them. If you see throughout all philosophies, all faiths, there's a huge emphasis on gaining knowledge. Knowledge is, of course, pivotal to our well-being as individual human beings. Knowledge, of course, includes not only secular knowledge, but also religious knowledge. And of course, the Corpus Christi is based on the Catholic foundations of education. As has been highlighted, I've been, of course, one of those beneficiaries. I've been to Maris Brothers High School and also to St. John of Arc School, only for a very short period. But my entire mother's family all went to St. John of Arc in Singatoga, which is, of course, a very nice place. But till today, the teachings of the Maris brothers still resonates with me. And the reason why it resonates with me is because they were good educators. They taught us values, they taught us principles that still is applicable and has been applicable throughout my life. So for the graduates, when you actually take your responsibility as teachers, you have to understand that you have and can leave an indelible mark on the students you're going to teach. You will actually shape the way they think. You will actually and can shape the way that they will become an adult, how they will view others, how they will interact with others, and indeed how they will want to acquire knowledge themselves. The teaching profession, as most people have said, is a noble profession. And I think sometimes when we actually talk about description or describing professions, it becomes actually quite euphemistic. We actually we just say it. It rolls off our tongue without actually thinking about the values of it. What does it actually mean? As I said to the students this morning when I was in Kinoya, all around their school they had all these values. They had kindness, loyalty, patience, love. And sometimes these can all simply become words. But to actually practice it can in fact be very difficult. To actually apply it to everyday life can be very difficult. To be able to simply tell the truth can be very difficult. Because people, as we've seen, and I'm also talking from a political perspective, but we can talk about it from a daily perspective, that to be able to speak the truth means that you have to be able to do it in such a manner that it does not compromise the truth. We sometimes, as we say, become economical with the truth. We tell only half-truths. What we say is shaped by what we think will be the outcome. Who we speak to and who we say the truth to is sometimes shaped by how we view the other person. You know, I have to tell you this story, as I said in Parliament a few weeks ago, no, some months back. I remember a few years ago, I was standing on the corner of Keynes Genève and the other building across the road. And there's a car that came from the EV tree side. And instead of going straight, it turned right. And as the vehicle turned right, the door opened and a baby fell out. And the lady who was standing next to me, she got really worked up and she said to me, her first question to me was, Indian baby or Fijian baby? Indian baby or Fijian baby? What that meant to me was that her level of response, her level of emotional attachment to what just happened would depend on what ethnicity the baby was. That's what it meant. So you see, we as human beings need to understand that our ability to love somebody, our ability to feel compassion and be passionate about anything should not depend on the person's ethnicity, should not depend on the person's religion, should not depend on the person's socio-economic status, should not depend on which province they come from. None of those should matter. What should matter is that the other person is a human being. After all, we all taught that we are all God's children. God made us all. Whether we are different in faith or ethnicity, whatever it is, does not matter. And I think as teachers, you'll all be going out and will be teachers, you need to be able to inculcate that belief, that sense in your students. It not only will help them to develop as good human beings, but it will also help you to develop as good educators. And education, of course, you know, has no bounds. There's no limit. We'll keep on learning right up till the day we die, and even then we won't know much at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is very, very important, in particular to the graduates, that we need to be able to understand that. And I think it not only helps you to develop as a human being, but it also helps your school, it helps your community, it helps the area you live in, it actually helps your nation. As has been highlighted by a principal, we've just recently returned from Germany, where we had COP23. The level of exposure that Fiji received from that was phenomenal. It cannot be actually calculated in monetary terms. To have the Fijian pavilion in the Bond Zone and have our artisans displaying indigenous art and culture and dance, and the fact that we had also at the same time a number of high-level talks taking place there, money cannot buy that. The ability to market your country. But from that we were able to get extremely practical and tangible levels of many solutions for us to be able to adapt to climate change. And you'll hear all of this being rolled out in the next few weeks. It is also quite phenomenal to have our Prime Minister as President of COP23. leading the negotiations of all the nations in the world as far as the Paris Agreement was concerned, and to be able to get a successful outcome. It's no minor feat, it's a major feat when you have all these competing interests. I'm sure as the representative from Japan will be able to tell you that on the international stage it is actually quite a task to be able to bring all the parties together. But the point of the matter, of course, is, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I also talk about it is that climate change is very, very significant for us. We're a small island state. We are the cold face of climate change. It has an impact on human rights. There's an impact on education. There's an impact on our health. There's an impact on our socio-economic well-being. So all of us need to be cognizant about that. I'm also glad that your principal has acknowledged the fact that we've increased the grant to Corpus Christi. We'll of course have been working very closely with the Higher Education Commission. We now have a formula as to how we actually allocate grants, and we'll continue to provide that grant. We need to have educational institutions that provide quality education. One of the things, if I could also implore the graduates, is that generally we have seen a deterioration in the standard of English in Fiji. And I would please urge you to be able to ensure that the standard of English is maintained. We have a very unique advantage in Fiji. We're an English-speaking country. And recently, before I round off, I'd like to tell you a small story, is that there was a South African company that came to Fiji a few years ago to set up a call center. And I asked them, why are you coming to Fiji to set up a call center? They said, well, you're in the right time zone. So when people have to answer calls or make calls, it fits in well with North America, with Europe, and of course Australia and New Zealand. You have good infrastructure in terms of the backbone of the IT status. You all speak English. And the fourth thing was, apparently our accents are neutral. We have neutral accents. When they go and set up a call center in India or Philippines, they literally have to spend millions of dollars getting Indians and Filipinos to change their accent so some American or some Brit or some Australian or some Kiwi can actually understand them. Apparently in our case, they don't have to get us to change our accents. Everybody loves our accents, amongst other things. But the point is that we must continue to speak English well. And the teachers have a very important role in that respect. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank, of course, the board and the management of Corpus Christi, the principal and vice principal, for this wonderful achievement. I'd also like to thank the parents and the family and friends who, of course, have been encouraging the students who are graduating today. We've obviously seen them through primary school and high school, and of course now through this. I urge you all to be able to continue to have that particular focus. Again, to the graduates, we look forward to you providing quality education. You, of course, will now get a higher salary when you join the civil service, and that is something that we continue to look forward to improving. And because if we all funnel our energy and our resources to a particular, through a particular way of thinking, we'll of course be able to do a lot better, not just as individuals, as communities, but also as a nation. Thank you very much.
Staff of Corpus Christi College.